So for the first 3 years of my life, I was living in Zimbabwe. For the first few years here, I couldn't speak a word of English, and I had to still go to school and not know English as well. Throughout my life, I've grown up with 3 brothers and I was the only girl. And a lot of people would say, oh, so you must have been the spoiled one. But I think my brothers were the spoiled ones, and I was kind of like the housemaid of the house type of thing. Growing up childhood-wise, I think the way I saw it was I was like the spare kid, you know, the person that would clean up the house after everyone, kind of look after my younger brothers as well. So I didn't really have much of a childhood. The arguments became worse after 2015. So it was kind of like I was walking on eggshells every day, basically. So then I had my daughter in July last year. There was more arguments which had caused me to be homeless. There was like a phone number to call if you are in the risk of being homeless. They had an availability for that same day for me. So I kind of just packed my bags and then I got dropped off to Frank Walsh House. I think it was just that realization to myself that this was a big move for myself. At that point when Barbara was signing me up, it felt like a dream. It felt like it wasn't actually happening. So then when Barbara had finished up with the sign up, I realized that not only have I got a nice place to move to, but she was there also to support me through it as well. I kind of think now, as a 22-year-old with my daughter now, it kind of pushes me to look to the future and kind of tell myself that I deserve a lot more. I kind of want to say I thank you for just simply smiling at me. It's just something as small as smiling, you know, it puts me in a better mood. I'm still trying to heal from my family and past problems. So just being able to be in an environment where, you know, they're very welcoming and they always have, you know, kind of like a happy face. I think it's just the small things like that which has been quite helpful with the move here and settling in as well. So I'd say thank you.
I lived in Vincent Wells for 50 years. My dad had just died and my mum had to get out of the place. She couldn't live in the place we were living, so the guy offered us a flat and she just said yeah, and that was it.
I moved in Vincent Wells with Derek in 1997 before we got married.
Yeah,
I met him in the Caledon pub. Apparently one night when I came back from Ascot one night, a bit tiddly, I sat on his lap and...
Well, I think you did.
Probably did, yeah. His older sister was up there as well one night and we were sitting there and I said, oh, he looks nice. And she said, why do you want me to introduce you? She says, it's my brother. And that's how we just started, I think. I can't remember, it was that long ago.
I didn't know that. Got my sister to blame then.
Yeah, you got your Barbara to blame for that.
When I first lived in Vincent Wells, it was a brand new block of apartments, flats, whatever, and it was lovely. I always intended to eventually leave and get a place of my own, but I just stayed in the flats. I personally, it affected my health. I was getting stressed out. My wife used to go out on her own sometimes at night time. I used to be a bit nervous and I used to make sure she used to ring me up and say everything was okay. When Mike offered us this place, just could not believe it. It's just paradise for us. We went from misery to happiness, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as we set eyes on it, and the location and everything, we said to each other, didn't we?
Yeah.
Said, well, we'll have a quick look inside when we can, but as far as I'm concerned, this is it. we couldn't believe our luck, could we?
No.
Kept pinching ourselves.
Yeah. So
And it's so quiet. It took us a couple of weeks before we could get to sleep because it was so quiet. It was lovely. I'm stress-free now. When I was in Vincent Wiles, I was stressed, wasn't I, Jackie?
Yes, you were.
Really stressed at times. And as soon as I moved here, it's gone. I'm stress-free now. So that affects my health. Yeah. My health is much better in that way, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And especially to Mike. He's been wonderful.
He's been very good.
He's become a personal friend, hasn't he? That's how good he's been. He really has gone out of his way to make sure we got a dwelling that was suitable for us, and it really is.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Born in Birmingham, in my mid-20s, about 25, I moved out to Worcestershire, met my wife, brought up a family. At that stage in my life, everything seemed settled and balanced, and bringing up a family, we decided to break and to split. And then I had certain circumstances within my life where it was like a pack of cards, one started to fail after the other. It become a very dark place. Unfortunately, driving around the country, and I don't mind admitting it, I made the mistake of the morning after, and I got penalised for drink driving, which was my fault. You lose your job with that, you lose contacts through that. I had 2 weeks to empty the Birmingham City Council property, which my mum was renting, to empty it and to hand the keys back, and that day I put them through the letterbox of the council. I realised I was homeless. I went to the police to see if they could help, and I sat on a bench and I just thought, this is it. You've just hit rock bottom, you've hit lower than low. And it was like being transported into a parallel universe, and I was just trying to work out how to get help and support. The outcome was that evening I rang an ambulance. I was freezing cold, I felt vulnerable, and they took me to an hostel in Birmingham, and I felt alone, scared, not safe at all, and not secure. Luckily for me, as a priority, they put me on the housing register, and thankfully this was the first place that I bid on, and I knew that if I could get back to Worcestershire and get a quiet base where I can build back off, then I can make life my own again, or at least try to. And that was more or less the start of coming out that very dark place. I've seen the windows and the doors open in my life. I came over and met Judy. We spoke, but what reassured me is that she wanted to know about me. So I've been at the property at Chelverton Court for roughly 6 months now. It's made such a difference, a genuine one, because I knew I needed a base to put all those jigsaw pieces together. And as soon as I met Judy, I didn't just have the support of the accommodation, I had the support of Citizen and the network. I had job advice from Gary, from Citizen, and I had advice on rent, universal credit and rent payments. I'd never done it before, so I'd had mortgages, so everything was new to me. All of a sudden that support network was just flooding in at me, and it was such a relief. And from that support and from that people just caring and recognising me, I got my motivation back, I got my sense of belonging back and my identity back. For once I felt home. Probably for most of my life I felt independent, in control, and I got home and I'm supported. Trying to make repairs to my family, sometimes it's not difficult, but you know, the stronger I get and the better off I am, the better chance I've got. Still try and keep in touch with my boys the best I can, and it's stepping stones, because you fall so quick, but to come back up is small stepping stones, because you're having to adjust again from that scary place, from that dark place. And it really is incredibly tough for anybody that goes through it. So yes, thank you to Citizen, thank you for the people here, because you're giving me a chance, and I love it. It's quiet, pleasant, and I'm really grateful to be here, and thankful to Judy, Citizen, the staff, and that's genuine.
I was born in Coventry originally, and then when I was about 5 years old, my mum moved me to Western, Supermare. Unfortunately, when I left school, started getting into drink and drugs. I suppose it was in the last 5 years, from the age of 30 up until 35. That's when it started spiralling. It takes you drugs and drink and that. It takes you away from stuff that maybe I wasn't dealing with or hadn't dealt with. I got evicted, and then I was spent 5 years homeless. So it's just been a bit of a mad life. I did sleep rough on occasion, a few times when I couldn't get a friend to stop with. You can't wash, brushing your teeth, things that you take for granted, you just can't do when you're homeless, and then you're trying to find your next meal as well. It makes you feel worthless, and it makes you feel like you haven't got a future. So when I first moved down to Cov, I got with the job centre. They put me in touch with this amazing homeless charity called Crisis, that helped me then get help with my depression. I'd given up drink and drugs by then. I didn't know it was this flat when I'd applied for it, but yeah, I got accepted to come have a viewing. I walked in, looked at the view, and took the flat. So I didn't really look around the flat. It was quite funny. It was really surreal for a month, where I've got somewhere to live. It's mad. And getting used to actually sleeping in a bed as well. My first mattress I ended up sleeping on the floor because it was too soft, didn't feel right. I've been here 5 years now, and just feels like a really good home. And yeah, it's amazing opportunity for me. I ended up being a sports coach, and it was really by accident and really random. Just by doing a sports leadership course, the tutor of the sports leadership course, after I completed it and got my level 1, he put me in touch with a youth organisation called Aptitude that he was working for. Through starting my youth work and doing that, I've qualified as a level 3 youth worker. I've really enjoyed working for Aptitude, and they've helped me through training. Getting my level 3 was enough to then progress to thinking about uni, which I applied for last year and was lucky enough to get an offer. So yeah, I started in September. I'm doing all right and looking forward to the future. A lot of the time I spent regretting things that I'd done in my life, and luckily now I've moved past that. I don't look back in the past and think, oh no, look what I've done. I'm looking towards the future, and it's probably the first time that I have got a future. But I think the big thing for me was just taking responsibility for my actions, because I spent quite a lot of time, years, really blaming everyone else. Never my fault that I was drinking, never my fault that I was doing drugs, always something else. And once I got past that and I started thinking it is only me, enabled me to move forward with my life. Just like to say a big thank you to Citizen for giving me a home, an opportunity to get a home. It's been really good.